Hey, folks, well, those Leafs are still trying to find their way, but wow, can we call that a signature win versus Vancouver on Saturday night? I don't know, maybe. We're going to break it all down for you right here on the OZone.
You're in the offensive zone, your place for Leafs hockey.
Hey, folks, welcome to the OZone. That's Coach. We love you, Katie. I'm the Devo. We're here to talk all things Leafs. I'm coming you from the HQ in downtown Toronto. Coach, where you at?
Well, guten Tag, Herr Devo. I'm in Munich today. I got a bit of a crazy week here. I'm in Munich, back to London, then to Hamburg, and from there, I'm hustling to go see the Leafs Friday night in Stockholm. It's going to be a good week.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Always on the road. Okay, well, there you go. Listen, folks, before we really get into it, remember to hit subscribe, like, share the videos, and leave us a comment. It helps us get better. We love hearing from you. Anyways, Coach, I know you're ensconced in Europe right now, overseeing the international office and scouting programs over there. We have opportunities abound here in North American market, and it's nice to see our newest scout, Regan Devine, a chip off the old block, getting it done here locally. KD would be proud, Riggs. She reported after a nice little run-in with Matthew Nyes that he's loving playing in Toronto and loves playing with the Stars. Of course, who wouldn't? But that's great work, Riggs. Keep it up. But, Coach, is that line set, 23-34-16?
Hey, Regan, that is outstanding work. I mean, look at this, an exclusive with Matthew Nyes. Good stuff. Just to honor your dad, please tell me you had some technical difficulties when you did that. Maybe that's an inside joke for me and the Devo, but I'm sure she probably did not. She does everything well. Katie would be proud, but look, I think that line is set to answer your question for this foreseeable future. Perhaps with the exception, Bertuzzi's starting to come around. Mm-hmm. I do think, the way we've seen that line over time has been with a pest there like Bunting, and Bertuzzi might fill that role. Mm-hmm. But boy, Devo, do they ever look good with Nyes on that line? I mean, he's this is going to be a theme for me in this one. He's received his opportunity and he's going for it and he's doing something with it. So good for Nyes. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily a pest, but certainly a physical player and a straight line player. So, I think that's what the Leafs need up there, and I think he'll only get better. You brought up Bertuzzi, and he's now sort of dipped down to line 2, where, listen, quite frankly, he's had some success there, 3 points in 3 games, but it's also caused a lot of other movement, not just from the top down. They're sitting Reeves. That's allowed Nick Robertson to play in, McMahon to come in to the lineup. So we see sort of a cascade, and also things come up on the third and fourth line, and a previously anemic 2 lines in terms of scoring. But they've had, I think, 14 points in the last 3 games, plus a shootout winner for Domi. So, I mean, have they finally solved the secondary scoring problem, do you think?
Yeah, so as good as it's been lately, it was awful to start the year. Awful. So yes. I wouldn't say anything is solved just yet, but it's encouraging. Hey, you mentioned that Tavares line with Bertuzzi on it. Holy smokes. Yeah. How do you argue with that line right now? I mean, how about Bertuzzi? Well, I'm going to try. I'll be out there with Matthews and Marner. It's not working out. I'll go to a guy who's hotter than both of them, Nylander.
Yeah,
that line's fantastic. But, as you and I heard dozens of times, right, as KD always said, having your best players, when they're healthy at their best and really going, it means that everybody can slide down nicely behind them and be in the slot that they should be in.
Yes.
Which allows them to thrive, right, because they're not being asked to do more than their talent would allow. Here's a good example of that. McCabe being hurt, Liljegren being hurt, Klingberg's got to play top 4. That is more than his defensive talent allows, and he was exposed, right? But I like the forward unit as they're going, And I know we're going to talk about Reeves in a bit, but yeah, it's healthy in the last few games. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you talk about secondary scoring, which is great. It's wonderful that it's shown up. You brought up that second line. Lovely to see. Tavares looks quick. I got to admit, he looks
He
quicker
does.
this year to start the
Yeah.
year than he has in a while. But what about 88? My goodness, what a torrid pace he's on right now. Is Nylander worth $10 million today, Coach? You tell me. $10 million AVA. What do you think?
Hey, so do you know who really hopes he's worth $10 million? Leon Draisaitl. Draisaitl's on one more year at 8.5. Imagine if Nylander's worth 10. Draisaitl's a stud, right? But
Yes.
hey, look, the way the negotiations are going to go, I don't know if they're negotiating now. It sure looks like they should have
Mm-hmm.
negotiated in the summer if they didn't. But they're lucky Michael Nylander isn't as whiny as Paul Marner. Remember Paul Marner? Yeah, Mitch, you get the Austin Matthews money. Well, that's kind of proving not to be the case. But Devo, is it even something to discuss? Who's been better at right wing, Nylander or Marner this year? Like it's not even, right?
Certainly this
Nylander's
year.
been terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now look, he's going to cool off eventually, but it sure looks like he's found another gear. But I think most important, he's become more consistent. I mean, like how do you get more consistent points in every game, right?
Yeah.
The thing about him, he's always had flashes, right? It's the consistency that's driven everyone nuts. Where he looks like he wants it, and then some games he looks like he doesn't. Haven't seen any of those
It's
games
even
yet.
shift. It's even shift to shift, and I know everyone's Leaf fans are
Yeah.
basking in the glow. I don't mean to take it away from anyone, but just the other night, breakaway against, the guy's got two steps on him. He gives up at the red line. He did it again like 4 games ago. He still does it. He's not going to come out and give you penalty kill minutes. So
Well,
he's,
aside from the shorty he got, he did give us some minutes there. That was pretty
yeah.
slick.
But I'm just,
But
but they normally kind of throw him on those. I don't want to call them garbage minutes, but
oh, sure.
the very end
Yeah.
of a power play, so that you hope your team's rallying, tilting the ice.
Yeah.
He's
So,
the problem with Nylander ultimately is he's very one dimensional. He's a goal scorer. He's always going to score goals, but and he's lovely to watch out there because he just creates so much space. But when the puck's not on his stick, and when the other team is coming, it's trouble.
well, so that's maybe a good lead in. Is he worth 10 million? Like this is this year's cap hit. We put this up here. Here would be his peer group. And that's
Mm-hmm.
interesting. So I took everybody whose salary starts with a 10. So you see Marner there at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple below that are in the high nines.
Yep.
So guys that are offense first or only offense, Jonathan Huberdeau fits into that, except for the offense. Oh,
Yeah.
that's a tough contract, right?
Yeah, that's
At
tough.
least the Habs were able to bury Carey Prices. There's a couple studs on here, stud centers like Barkov,
Barkov,
Kopitar. Those
Kopitar.
guys are studs. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, they're worth every penny.
Eichel.
Um,
I mean,
Interesting.
he's won a cup.
Yeah, yes, but interesting that there are some cautionary tales on here too, aren't there?
Yep.
Like Tyler Seguin is a third line player for Dallas. John Hockey, I'll tell you about my buddies Kaner and Marv, Calgary fans. They're just thrilled that they didn't sign Johnny Hockey. He's soft, and
Very.
he's not doing much in Columbus either. Now Calgary's terrible too, but that's another story.
I think they're
So
very similar
does he
players,
slot
though.
in here? Like, is this Nylander's peer group? Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and so if that's what 10 million gets you, but you can see the volatility here, even just within this group, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, Devo, he is pretty much one dimensional.
Yeah.
So if his scoring dries up like it did with Sagan, that's a lot of money to pay a guy. Holy smoke! Or
Yeah.
Huberdeau too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Uh, Great point. Yeah, we'd love to see some consistency. They're going to have to negotiate this contract still with like upside, not with a large volume.
Yeah, you know what's interesting too? Chris Johnston came out. He's on some podcast and he said He believes it's like 90% Nylander's going to sign, and probably for less than he could get because he loves it in Toronto. Do you see him? That picture of him? He's taking the subway to the game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
That's
It's
great.
awesome. So
Yeah,
yeah, hey man, wouldn't it be great that we could sign a guy maybe for market value or less? That would be a nice change based on the last few years around here.
well, and not only that, it would make you a hometown hero. Like people are loving Nylander right now, but there were times last year and the season before where people weren't. You signed
Yeah.
for under what people think you might have been able to get, and they just love you twice as much. It's something to be said about that.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, well, we talked a bit about Klingberg. I mean, you and I have talked a lot about Klingberg's going back to his days in Dallas. And we talked about Reeves also being scratched. Um, Listen, with both guys in and out of the lineup, I know it's a sort of a tiny sample size this past week where those guys have kind of either been both have seen the press box. Are these guys going to be regular scratches or semi-regular scratches? What's your thought on this? I mean, the team's certainly responded with those guys not in the lineup. And what do you
Yeah.
think?
Now, like to be fair, they've been scratched one game each, right?
Yeah,
So uh, I don't know. They said Klingberg was fighting some injury. I loved Minzy's tweet. He took yours on. He reposted. He said he had torn cartilage. I thought that's pretty funny.
that's pretty
Um,
good.
Look, it would take some serious onions for Keefe to make this a regular thing.
Yeah,
Just because of this. There's his two most well. There's two day one Treliving's day one free agent signings, and now you're making these guys regular healthy scratches. And look, Keefe was a shootout win away from losing two there. Might still be on some thin ice. But look,
yep,
the way that each of these guys have played so far, they probably should not be regulars. I think it's a pretty easy argument to say that they're not playing up to like NHL standards. They're not. Their numbers are awful. But here's the
yes,
thing, Devo. That's only part of it. It's actually not up to them, not up to Reeves and Klingberg anymore on their own. Their play has opened up an opportunity. So now if you look up front, Robertson, McMahon, Holmberg, they're going to get a chance to take that spot.
hmm
Lagesson, Timmins, Benoit on the back end. Timmins is coming back. They're going to get a chance to take that spot. It's up to those guys to seize it, to play so well that the organization says we can't take that guy out.
yeah.
You know
And
who
look,
did that a couple of
Legason.
years ago was Timothy Liljegren. And
Yeah,
he wasn't great, but he's just solid, right?
yeah.
Just come in and be solid because those two guys have not been.
And let's be honest, Legason's been he's been solid, like
Well,
out of
yeah,
nowhere for me.
the game before Klingberg sat the Ottawa game, before Klingberg was scratched, Lagesson took his minutes. Klingberg didn't play in the third period. Lagesson
Yep.
did. Hey, I don't know, but I mean, I have an extensive scouting background, but I don't know who
Yes,
this guy is.
I
Hey,
know.
go and seize it. Good for him.
Yeah, and it's going to be very hard to take Robertson out of the lineup. I mean, the guy comes in and produces right away.
You know what? And you and I both had our doubts about that. He's had so many chances, and he's just been, snake bit with the injuries.
Yeah,
Good for him. Good for him. Because
yeah.
he can shoot it, man, and he's got a great motor. Man, I hope he keeps it up.
Me too. Me too. I think everyone's rooting for him in this town. They really
Yeah.
are. So let's hope he can stay healthy for a good chunk of games here. Listen, we gotta throw a little love to your boy and his performance Saturday night, Sammy. He did okay Saturday night. Easily, for a whole team, Saturday night was easily the Leafs' best game of the season. I don't think anyone could deny that. Unbelievable. It's coming off a back-to-back, playing a rested Vancouver team, which always plays Toronto tough at home. In Toronto, I mean. And Sammy had all the excuses to put up a stinker, and he didn't. The team played well in front of him. What do you think? Is this something to build off of? Is he winning the crease back here, Coach?
Yeah, weren't you surprised that, like, they had the 3 games in 4 nights, and
Yep.
Wall was going to play that first one? I was really surprised that they didn't give Ilya the Calgary game, which should have been way easier than Vancouver. but
Hmm.
he actually gave the tougher game to Samsonov. Um, I love to see it. Is he taking the crease back? Well, let's tap the brakes. I mean,
Yeah.
he was awesome as well. He went into Boston and basically was the best player, earned that tie. So, okay,
Hmm.
he's back, right? Then he laid that egg against
I
Tampa.
know.
So
Talk
I
about a
don't think I think
consistency
it's too
issue.
early to say he's back. I just like the way he's playing. Now they've got 4 or 5 days to get ready for these games in Sweden. I think each guy will get one game. Hey, be great to get on a roll here for both of them. And
Hmm.
I don't mind the tandem, right? If both guys are going, that would be ideal for us if we could get both guys going. So it was great to see. I think it's a little too soon to make any definitive calls yet.
Definitely a small sample size, and not a lot of consistency really at all there for any of these guys. But
Hey,
yeah,
Joe Wall cracked the door open there too, didn't he? Because I
yep,
mean, he's given up quite a bit lately. The thing
yeah,
is, even with those two great efforts, right? The Boston game and that game against Vancouver, he was terrific. Ilya Samsonov's got an 870,
I
so
know
maybe not just yet.
that none of the Leafs seem to like playing against the bad teams. When have we heard that before, eh?
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
folks.
you go see Buffalo every time, right? You know
I
it
know. It's
firsthand.
the last time. I'm never buying those tickets again. All right, folks. There you have it. Everything you need to know about the Leafs right here on the Ozone.